This Pitch Breakfast video is brought to you by Spangler & Agins, attorneys for Charlotte's startup community.
Good morning. My name is Mark Gully, and I'm the CEO of RediPay. A quick show of hands, has anybody in the room ever used dental or vision insurance in your life for you or your kids? Right? These products were designed in the 1950s, can be very frustrating and hard to use, and were frankly designed by insurance companies for you not to use. So what RediPay is a system to automate a process called direct reimbursement, which can basically replace these products nationwide. So the way this works today, I'll use Susie as an example. So pretend for a minute that I'm a plant manager in a small town, and I've got one dentist in the town who takes care of all my patients, and Susie is the dentist. Right now what happens is there's a dental insurance company that sits in between us. So I pay them roughly 30 bucks a head to insure all my people, whether they use the benefit or not, and they control Susie's fees, right? And after a while, we kind of look at each other and we're like, why are we paying this person in the middle? Why don't we do a direct deal? I just pay for the people who use the benefit, and Susie can charge a full fee, and the insurance company is out of the room, right? So this has actually been done on a local and a sub-regional scale throughout the country by about 15 to 20 companies, but nobody's ever cracked the code on how to do this nationwide. So that's what our product actually does. So the system actually benefits everybody. So from a patient or employee standpoint, it's first dollar benefits. So if you have a $1,500 policy, you use the first dollar. There's no more copays, no more waiting periods, no more authorizations. We want you to use the benefit. That's the difference. For providers, we get the insurance company out of the room. So the insurance company is not making patient care decisions. The patient and the provider are making decisions. And then from an employer standpoint, this actually can work for any employer in the U.S., and typically the savings are around 30%. So we actually raised money last year, so we did a founder round last April, raised money again in December. We have 4 full-time employees. We're Charlotte-based, and we're raising $1 million now to build out our internal IT staff, product management, sales and marketing to move this process forward and again launch this nationwide brand. I'm Mark Gully with RediPay. Thanks for your time.
Feels like 2 minutes goes by pretty quickly.
It's really
right?
fast, yeah.
You were talking so fast, but you knew what you were talking about. But I think you did a great job in making this kind of a conversation. I don't know, your style was just conversational, and usually that works really well in the 2-minute pitch. Maybe not so much when you have slides or a longer pitch,
right. But
2 minutes, it really works well. I thought you did a great job in conveying the problem and the opportunity. And I did have some questions about it. Are you an insurance company? I mean, it sounds like you're basically replacing insurance companies and becoming one yourself.
Yeah, that's a great question. So we're not an insurance company. It's basically a product that replaces insurance. So it's almost a payment system that actually replaces the need for an insurance company.
So but to help me understand that, the trade-offs that a customer would have in working with you versus an insurance company, because there is a trade-off. Now, you probably picked this market, the vision and dental plans, because there's limits and big caps.
That's right.
You're not going to get cancer and have to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars when you're dealing with vision or dental issues, right? Is that why you're picking this
Exactly.
up?
It's an issue of risk transfer. So that when you use these fully funded products like fully funded dental or vision, you're basically paying for full risk transfer, right, to an insurance company. And these are basic expenses, right? This would be like you and I insuring oil changes, right? It's basic human maintenance. It's eye care, it's dental care, it's that kind of thing. So the point is, these are not $80,000 oncology procedures. They're tax deductible expenses.
So
right?
is anybody else that you know doing this same thing? Because I would think that somebody else has thought about this.
So the answer is yes. If you look at total market share in the country right now, so just take dental for an example, about 80% of that market is PPO networks, so folks like Delta Dental and others out there, right? The market for direct reimbursement right now is like 0.4%. So actually kind of 15 small kind of mom and pop companies across the country that do this. So we're just looking to scale that concept.
So okay, that makes sense. So why you? I mean, if there's 4% of the market out there already competing with you, what makes you special? Why are you going to win over them?
Right. So again, 0.4% is the numbers. So I think really small sliver of the market, right?
That's
so
maybe a couple of companies, 2 or 3, 4, 10.
Kind of 15 total. We know who they
are.
So my background, number one, was as an engineer. So I'm a process guy, an operations guy. I spent the last 8 years as an investment banker for Wachovia and Wells, and 2 of those years as, covering insurance and reinsurance companies, so equity, debt, M&A. So I know insurance. 2 of our founders, co-investors, are actually dentists. So we've got dental expertise on the team and insurance expertise on the team. And we
What
just
about
see
later? What makes you win 5-10 years from now?
Yeah, I think the embedded demand of providers, right? So people have put money around this before, but they only focused on the provider side, right? And it was real clear to me, and I told our founders point blank, that if we don't bring employers to the table, it really doesn't matter, right? If you're a provider and you're upset about insurance companies, managing your fees down over the last 5 years and continuing to depress your fees, by the way.
Are you saying that the other 15 companies are focusing on the providers only, not on the employers?
So they are focused on employers, but only through a broker channel, which is business that can go and come, right? It's hard to keep broker business, right? So we're focused on both sides of the trade, if that makes sense. So 2 minutes is not a lot of time to kind of go through all this, but
that's
completely
what
focused. What's different about our approach is we are absolutely focused on bringing employers to the table because they pay the bills and they ultimately make the decisions for patients and employees.
So, I mean, I don't have a whole lot of feedback to give you. I think I got it in the 2-minute pitch. And there were some questions that you needed to fill up, but I think you did a good job.
Okay.
The only thing that I would say as an investor is I still don't have a good answer for why you're going to beat the other 15 companies. And every investor is thinking, an investor has to be thinking, I'm going to invest in the number 1 or the number 2 player.
Right.
Because otherwise, eventually everybody else is going to get out of the way. And they want to be investing in the winners.
Yep.
You got to be able to convey to somebody,
Yep.
and this is maybe the thing to work on.
Yep.
What is going to make you be able to beat your competition?
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with having 15 companies out there. That's actually a good thing.
Yeah.
But you got to be able to have a plan and strategy to say, this is what I'm going to do, and it's got to be credible to be number 1.
Got it. Yep, and to be clear, this is a nationwide platform. So all the other kind of the 15 I've talked about are locals, players in certain market areas, right? This is a national platform with a full domestic provider team. Right?
Sometimes it's the team. Sometimes that's what wins. So.
Yeah, I think so I have the advantage of knowing Mark and his company pretty well, right? To me, the challenge is, articulating sort of the go-to-market strategy, right? Because I think most companies don't buy vision or dental separately, right? Somebody comes in and, the agent comes in and the overall health plan is what you're talking about, right? And then, oh yeah, there's vision and dental on here, right? So most people don't say, I'll buy the medical plan, I'm going to talk to somebody else about vision and dental, right? How do you address that?
There's just 3 ways we go to market. So one is employer direct, and the next is through benefits brokers or benefits consultants. And kind of the break even is around 500 employees, right? So that's kind of not a hard and fast number, but roughly, if you have less than 500 employees, you work through a benefits broker who's basically a product-based commission type salesman. And above that, you're working with a fee-based consultant who's a fiduciary, so think an Aon Hewitt or Mercer, somebody like that, right? So our solution works really well direct to employer. It works great with the consultants because they're focused on unbundled solutions, right? So we can come in dental vision to the Flex platform, do a lot of that. And then the broker market is where it's a little more unclear, right? So it's partnering with the right brokers. It's working through that. It's figuring out the right partners. But again, to your point, we're further down the chain. So if you think about where we are in the business, a CFO or an HR director, they're focused on their retirement plan. They're then focused on major medical and then supplemental benefits where we operate, and then kind of flex, things like FSA, HRAs, all that good stuff. So we're down the chain, right? So if our savings for our value prop was only 5%, I'd be no different than the guy who could come in and save them 5% on their solar hot water heater, right? Or something like that. So it's got to be significant savings, and that's why 30% is the target. We can demonstrate that. We have demonstrated that, and that's the value proposition. So if you're super profitable, it may not be a big deal, but if you're under pressure at all or looking at specific line items, 30% savings on any line item is important to a CFO or controller.
Do you have any partnerships in place to help you grow?
So we're working to build out our provider team as well as our kind of employer distribution model at the same time, right? So we're working both sides, building out the prototype for our system, working with providers to give us feedback on that system to make sure it's easy for not only the dentist to use, but their office staff, right? The office managers who are actually in the dentist's office, same for the optometrist, right? So,
I think that's the key. The go-to-market strategy probably is the differentiation, and probably is how you are able to carve out your territory with partners and keep the competition away.
Yep.
without that, it's going to be difficult to be able to ascertain whether you can win or somebody else.
Yeah, and then my question, so imagining myself in the CFO chair, and this relates to how I would view this as an investor. So in the CFO chair, the equation that would be going on in my head is, all right, I believe I can save some money, right? I understand that this is a risk that I shouldn't have to insure, right? Because there isn't that big high-end catastrophic, so I understand there's some savings, right? What's the magnitude, how many dollars worth of savings is that versus, so I presently have, you're all the employees in this company of which I'm the CFO, and we have Delta Dental, right? And everybody knows how it works and all this sort of thing.
How do you sell
There's
it?
an operational, what's the level of operational disruption and being able to sell it to
What's
the
the pain
employees,
point? Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Versus the however many dollars I get back for that, right? If it's
30% is what you
if I
mentioned.
have to explain this to all of you and our company saves $200 a month, we won't do it, right? And if it's $20,000 a month, we're going to talk about it. So that equation of dollars versus how many people I have to guide through this process and what that operational transition is going to be would be my equation as a buyer.
And typically, we're going to do that through an annual open enrollment process, right, where we would communicate with employees about all their benefits, not just ours, but the entire process, right, that your company would manage. And keep in mind, the savings are not just, it's 30% for current, ongoing savings, right? But what we're also trying to do is increase utilization for dental and vision and detect problems that will occur later down the road in the major medical law schools. So things like diabetes, glaucoma, that if we encourage folks to do 2 dental visits a year, optometrist every other year, we start to find those things earlier and again, save a lot of money down the road by jumping in and giving folks wellness bonuses and that kind of thing. So it's a predictive tool as well.
Yep, good.
How about the audience? Yes.
Good question. I think you made it, I don't know if it was answered earlier.
Uh-huh.
You talked about a bunch of regional players.
Uh-huh.
Why are they not national? Why would you be national?
Yeah, some of it's, so great question. So one of the first things we did was dig into that, right? So why has this never worked, right? So I spent a lot of time on that this past year. And we know who we know who all the players are and the key folks as well. So to some degree, it's a lifestyle business. People have set up a small business. They have 5-10 employees. It's regional. It's good. Life's good. So why rock the boat? And then also, look, there's some pretty large competitors. You got to scale up and kind of man up to go after this, right? These are some big companies, big competitors. So it's going to take somebody who's willing to step in, raise the capital, and go after this with the right team.
So if you're an M&A guy, sorry to follow up, why not just do a roll-up instead of?
Yeah, it's kind of a quaternary goal, right? So it's not the main objective is product market fit, right? And let's get honed in on customer acquisition costs. Let's raise the capital we need and go out and demonstrate this. And then in time, we could do acquisitions in that space. But again, our product is structured differently than some of them. So even if I were to do acquisitions 1 through 6, it may take 3 or 4 years to migrate their book because some folks are going to get it. Our product's going to look and feel a little different, even though it's the same concept, right? So it's just a natural migration of a book of business over time, depending on the deal we go after, right?
One more. Yes, right there.
Mark, what's the thought on strategic alliances like unions and other people who are trying to drive benefits to?
Yes, that's a great question. So Taft-Hartley would be one space we could focus on from a union standpoint. In general, it's like anything else. How do you oil the ocean, right? So the nodes will start. We've got 2 of our initial investors are dentists in New England, so we've got a node there. And then clearly, as we try to perfect our basic trade area, we'll be working out of a node in North and South Carolina, and then take it from there. So it's just going to be a function of which customers we get traction with to start with, and if those are industry focused or size focused, or if they're broker consultant focused, it'll depend on their book of business, right? So the point is, we just got to work our way through it, and that's how it always happens, kind of one bite at a time.
Last question. I think you have one in the back there.
Yeah, I did have a question. Okay, so if there's a benefit to the individual for this to get them to go use the dental service, why do you market to individuals? Because if I'm picking my benefits at work, I don't have to pick their dental.
Right.
I can say I don't want their dental.
Sure.
I can pick your dental.
Yep.
So you could have a market through the whole nation of everybody without going through the company.
Right.
Why wouldn't you market to that? Like
Yeah, so-
dentist offices,
Sure.
advertising.
Great question. So 90% of the benefits actually flow through employers. So we've got a product that just fits kind of the If you're a dentist and you're self-insuring either retired patients or your own kind of insurance program, we've got a product to kind of address that, but that's 10% of the market, right? Not 90%. So we're focused on the biggest part of the market opportunity, which is 90%. Let's solve that first. Dental's by far the hardest from a coding standpoint, right? From a process standpoint. So once we crack the code there, vision falls in right behind it. And then once we have kind of a multiple product offering, then in time we'll kind of clean that up. But it's kind of down the road, if that makes sense. Yep.
All right, let's give it up for Mark.